Hi, this is Jeremy from Converse English, and as I promised at the end of the year, I'm going to give you a little overview of level 4 writing to give you some tips about how to approach it and what type of style you need to employ. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so as I'm sure you know, the first thing we need to think about is that a level 4 writing piece has approximately 500 words, or at least 500 words, and it is usually around a single statement. So you would just get one sentence and then maybe the word discuss after that or something like that. So that leaves quite a sort of open format for you to deal with. So for some people, maybe this is a little bit daunting. And so that's why I thought I'd give you a few guiders. Now, it's important to obviously think about what you're expected to do in terms of the level 4 writing. So as we see here, there's a whole list of things: presenting arguments, justifying, giving hypothesis, etc., etc. And it's important that you think, how are you going to actually demonstrate that in your writing? So before you go into the exam, you should have a clear view in your head of which part of the writing or which part of the essay you're going to do the justification, in which part you're going to make some speculation, so that you don't forget anything and so that you can actually get all the points that you need. So in terms of what you get marked on, of course, you get marked on grammatical accuracy and lexis, etc., etc., but also obviously on content and logical development of your arguments. And that is a key part, that it's not all about just your language, but how do you deploy this language and how do you develop your argument? The organization and style are obviously also important, whether there is a clear sort of beginning, middle, and end to your essay, and whether your argument sort of follows from the very top of the writing to the very bottom. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. So in terms of types of essay, if we think about sort of academic writing, what you may have done at university, there are two sort of main types that get done at university level. These are argumentative and discursive. There are others, but those are really the main ones that get done. And so we need to think which one do we need to do for the level 4 writing? Now, what is the difference? And so, as the name obviously suggests, the argumentative essay is one where you are arguing a particular point of view, and you have a sort of a destination in mind that you want to get to, and you want to be able to persuade the reader to your particular opinion. Whereas a discursive is perhaps more balanced, it's more open, you're not trying to actually get anywhere as such. You are just laying out the general situation and allowing the reader to come to some sort of opinion on their own. Okay, so those are the two types that you need to be aware of. Now, the question is, which one do we need to deploy in our writing for level 4? Well, the level 4 one is primarily an argumentative essay. And what is important is that in the level 4 specifications, that is not actually written as such. However, there are certain words used in the specifications which can lead you to this understanding. So I'll go on to the specifications in a little while. Now, if we think of what is an argumentative essay and how do we structure it? Well, here is a basic outline of an argumentative essay. So obviously you have an introduction stating your stand, your stance, your point of view, the thesis of your argument. Now for level 4, this is incredibly important, and that you at the very beginning, when you introduce the topic and you give the general background in the introduction, that you take a stance, that you actually say more or less what is your opinion, so that then later you can go on to justify it and to work your way down the essay. Now, if we look at the screen, and we've got the fact that the first or second paragraph would be supporting your main thesis. This would probably be the most traditional way to do it. 1 to 2 paragraphs. If we think that 500 words, if we're going to roughly do 90, 100 words per paragraph, so we can obviously break it down into 5 distinct paragraphs. However, that's your choice. There's no particular limit on paragraphs or anything in the specifications that says you must do 4 or 5 or what have you. But one to two, presenting your thesis. Then we have 1 to 2 maybe giving an antithesis, looking at the other side of the argument, predicting any counter argument to your claim, whatever you've claimed in the introduction. Remember, in the introduction and in the general essay, you can take any side of the argument. You can agree or disagree with the principal statement, which was the essay title. But it's important to look at the other side. Then we have obviously some form of conclusion, which reiterates your stand for a lasting impact. So you need to obviously summarize in some way and come back to your original statement that you put at the very beginning in the introduction in order to form a clear argumentative essay so that you have arrived back at the start point. So if we look at the marking criteria, what I think, there's a few things we need to think that are important. Now, obviously, in terms of the grammatical and lexis, if we look on the left-hand side where we've got the grammar, in order to get 1415, obviously it says here, it's, for example, simple structures accurate. And then in the lexis, there's a very similar thing. It says simple vocabulary accurate. So even just to pass, obviously at this level, all simple structures and vocabulary must be correct. Then we've got complex structures mostly accurate, so meaning you can slip a little bit, but even that phrasing, mostly accurate, means that you need to be pretty proficient to get the pass mark. Whereas obviously, if we look down at this 12-13 band, which is would be the 3+, so technically a fail at level 4, but you would get a 3+ certificate. Here we've got simple structures, mostly accurate, and so that's something to bear in mind. However, if we look over to the content and logical development, we've got a phrase that we need to pay attention to. This is for pass, thesis clear and in line with the topic. So by thesis clear, this is what I mean by stating your thesis in the introduction. So in the very beginning, in the introductions paragraph, you need to take that stance, that point of view, and clearly state it. So you would introduce the topic, and then, as maybe your last line in the paragraph, say that this would be the particular point of view that you're taking, and you're going to therefore prove it through your essay. If we look then even at 12-13, we've got thesis clear and in line with topic. So actually, if we're talking about the thesis and the argumentation of the essay, it's important to remember that if you forget to clearly state that or outline it in the right way, then you've already dropped right down the marks category to the 7-11 category. And so it is very important to outline clearly your thesis, okay? Now, if we think about planning your essay, how do you actually go about this? Well, if we take just like a random topic, sustainable tourism is a myth. The only way to protect the environment is to ban tourists. Now, as I said, you can agree or you disagree with this. Do you agree that sustainable tourism is a myth, or do you think it's perfectly valid as a plan? That doesn't matter. Whichever side you take, that's okay. That's your choice. But you need to, as I said, clearly state that at the beginning. So your introduction, you would have some sort of obviously opening sentence, topic sentence, hook, as I've written here, to start with a compelling fact or statement that would draw the reader in, giving background information, and then clearly state your thesis. Okay, so those are the main elements that you would put in the introduction. Then, when it comes to the main body, obviously you've got to provide argumentation to support your thesis and discuss anything that is applicable. Here we've got an example connected with sustainable tourism. So we would provide these arguments, not necessarily 3, perhaps 2, depending. And obviously, it would depend on the detail that you put, whether one argument was for one paragraph or whether you're going to have 2 arguments in one paragraph. This is obviously up to you. There's no particular way it has to be. Okay, but as a basic outline, this would be how you would organize your ideas. Then, as I said before, it's important to have this counter argument to predict what the reader may be thinking or what other elements are important to show that you have looked at the whole spectrum, so to speak. So you look at the other side. This can be just one paragraph if you want. If you develop 2 paragraphs looking at your argument and one as a counter argument, that would be perhaps a good way to organize it. And then you come to the conclusion, the summary, and obviously this is where you need to come back to your original statement and bring it to some sort of conclusion, restating the main argument and why they outweigh and are in fact, stronger than the counter argument that you looked at, for example. Okay, ending with a clear statement, once again repeating and confirming your thesis. Okay, so I hope that gives you some idea as to the general layout of a argumentative essay. And as I said again, if we go back now to the criteria, and we've got now the arguments stated clearly at the beginning, we then, as you can see in the writing criteria, you automatically then get into at least the 12-13 box as far as logic goes. Okay, any questions, please put them in the comments, and I will be doing a separate video on speaking at level 4, so please check that out, and obviously feel free to get in touch with us at Battle Plan if there's anything you're not sure about. Okay, thank you. That's all.